Hello, my name is Mars, and welcome back to I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Things are wrapping up. The next glow attack, which I predict might be our last, is fast approaching, and I feel like there really isn't much else for us to do but keep on going through the motions until it comes to pass. So I think I'll spend some time in the med bay. You've begun to earn Instance's grudging respect, at least so far as the med bay goes. You think she's just grateful that someone else has to deal with the colony's constant minor medical annoyances. You've learned a lot about her, in snippets here and there. You know she's never had any kids. She's never even donated genetic material to make kids. In fact, she seems put off by the prospect. She has Tangent after all, and she says that mentoring her is far more rewarding than raising children of her own. She's in a rare mood today and seems willing to talk about what things were like on Earth. We have this card already, but we might as well listen. We were considered terrorists, you know, she says. That's what they called everyone who threatened their, she makes a face of disgust, religious apocalypse. She pauses and looks into the middle distance. Well, the bombings didn't help, I'm sure. I was considered a criminal on a few counts by the time I left Earth, she continues. I believed in genetic enhancement for all humanity, but our conservative nation forbade it. Only the richest could travel to other countries to have it done in secret. I still might have got by, except for my gender. In the Vertumna group, I was raised equal to other children in a free-thinking community, but outside it, let's just say they weren't tolerant of female scientists in my part of the world, especially ones researching illegal gene therapies. All I wanted to do was unshackle people from the bonds of their genetic heritage, she sighs. But people loved their shitty, stupid genes, valued their DNA like it somehow defined who they were, more than their own actions. We didn't have families in the Vertumna group compound, she says. That was the point. Break the bonds of genetics so we could see the one we have with all humanity. I mean, I think family is important. There's a reason we loved our parents, but we shouldn't mess with our genes is a dumb thing for Solana to say, considering her extra fingers and all. I mean, personally, I think that heritage is something that matters. Whether you want to believe it or not, it does matter who your family is. But I feel like Solana would say blood doesn't define us. Instance nods. If we've taught you anything, I hope it's that. I was 28 when I left Earth on the stratospheric, she says. I'm colony born, but they sent me out to get an education and ultimately to access the technology we needed to leave. Your mother was the rebel, I was the plant, she says fondly. By the time we were ready to launch, I had 2 degrees in genetic engineering and a list of enemies as long as my arm. They had to take me with them, even though I wouldn't raise space babies for the colony. I knew how the damn tech worked. Empathy? Wait, you were a super spy? No, she laughs. No, I never claimed to be anything other than what I was. But you can get away with a lot if people think you're smart enough. Do you ever think about how we have all this technology, she says, indicating the medbeds? Genetic engineering, medbeds, congruence? These are unbelievably important, priceless pieces of technology, restricted to only the most wealthy and connected corporations on Earth. The kind of corporations to which I had access. Someone had to acquire them, she continues. Too bad the Helios are just as stuck as we are, she says, not sounding upset in the least. I bet they love to cart me back to their corporate overlords in chains. That was really cool, to really learn about what the Helios were running away from. Alright, we're definitely gonna want to put that down. But let's see, can we get... Let's see, we can get a 567, I think. 567. A 4567. Sweet. Yeah. So we really were a colony of hippies. I love that. I love that despite this fascist uprising by the Helios, that we were, to some extent, able to create a new society based around the values that the stratospheric held and the Vertumna initiative and all that. Alright. We got something out of that. Let's do some gardening. The agriculturalists have taped a picture of your mom just inside the door of one of the main greenhouses. A real photo, on paper and everything. You sometimes see people kiss their fingers and press them to the photo out of respect. It hurt at first to see her stern face looking down at you every time you leave the greenhouse, but as the months wear on, the hurt chips away to reveal a sort of fierce pride. You miss her so much, but she's still here, frowning down on you all and trying to make you work faster. Yeah, I mean, despite what we said before, we are defined by our blood. We're working here in geoponics, aren't we? We want to make our parents proud. Alright. We can get 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we can get a 2 of a kind here. This wild value. Oh, not quite the best. Oh well. Alright. It's the wet season now. Ooh, bobber fruit. Cal. Cal, I have something for you. You find Cal behind the garden shed, kneeling down and peering under a tarped-up old watering pot. He shushes you and gestures for you to come look under the tarp. There, into the dusty gloom, 6 four-eyed hop kittens blink up at you, eerily out of sync. I haven't seen their mom in a while, Cal says. I don't want to touch them in case she's still around and she smells me on them, but... He sighs. One of those damn jarheads probably got her. I have food for you. And that didn't get me any dialogue. Ooh, but there's a crystal back here. For Nami. It's not often we find... Well, there they are, but it's not often we find 2 collectibles in one day, let alone in such close proximity to each other. Alright, let's give this to Nami. Nami is looking up at the sky with a slight smile. It's been 4 years, and it's still so cool, they comment. I spent my whole life on a spaceship before this. Being outside still feels like being in paradise, even with everything going on. How high is our creativity? We could get our creativity up a little bit more, maybe? Oh, that got us something with them. You're walking through the colony when you see a blur of color and motion at the corner of your vision. Bang! Nami collides with you in a catastrophe of flailing limbs and high-pitched squealing, sending you both sprawling to the ground. Oh my gosh! Nami exclaims. They immediately get to their hands and knees and begin to collect the papers that exploded out of their hands when they fell. I'm so sorry. Sometimes my brain is off doing its own thing and I don't watch where I'm running. Ah! They exclaim, dusting off their piece of toast and shoving it back in their mouth. Gotta eat breakfast, even when you're late. This seems mean, so I'm gonna say don't even worry about it. Nami giggles and continues to collect their scattered papers, their faces bright red. Okay, if you say so. Thanks, Solana. Maybe if I had a genetic enhancement like everyone else, I would be able to watch where I'm going. Nami gets to their feet and offers you a hand up, then brushes the dust off for you. I actually don't know what my genetic enhancement is, or, even if I have one at all. My parents decided to lock my medical files from when I was a baby because they had this wild idea that they wanted me to grow up without feeling like I had to be, perfect. They think it's rude for parents to make that choice for their kids. I mean, I think it's weird that parents are the ones who get to choose their augment. But it's not all it's cracked up to be. That's easy for you to say, unless I have cool superpowers, Nami exclaims, putting their head on their hip and sticking their tongue at you. The rest of us have to get by on our wits and charm. Nami wiggles their eyebrows. Maybe I'm just like Galactic Cyber Princess Umiyama, and one day a talking hot-eye will come tell me I have to defeat the Mecha Ultra Nether beings. Nami starts walking with you, talking animatedly with her hands. I know my parents just wanted me to know that I can be anything I want to be when I grow up, and I don't have to be super strong or super smart in order to be happy. They always told me, nothing and nobody knows what's good for Nami except for Nami, and I really think that's true. They stop and turn to you, looking serious for the moment. Sometimes it does kind of feel like, well, Nami squints up to the sky. Sometimes I wonder if I'm only good at something because I have some kind of secret advantage I don't know about, or sometimes I think the opposite, like if I'm not very good at something, I'll feel angry because maybe I could have been good at it. It was really bad in the Helio, because everyone is really good at something. Usually things like marching and shooting stuff. I thought maybe it would feel different here, where there are people with all kinds of skills, but they sigh. No matter what I try, someone is already way better at it, so I just feel like I just suck at everything. Alright, we can flirt with them. I thought maybe that wasn't an option. They said something before that made me think maybe they were asexual, because they said something, well, like, I don't know much about the sex stuff, but romance is universal, which made me think maybe they're not romanceable. Maybe they're just a friend character. Apparently, you can flirt with them, but I don't know. At this point, it's too late. I do love you, Nami, but I'd like to just be friends. Everyone sucks at first. It's the first step to being kind of good at something, Nami says brightly. That's from a show I used to watch, and I guess I don't suck at everything. They strike a pose with an imaginary laser pistol. I'm really good at Laser Fable. Pew pew! We haven't got the chance to play Laser Fable with them a lot since we first met them. Alright. Let's try and get that card out of them. Let's see, we probably... I don't know how much more we need to get a card. There's plenty of holo videos of people playing the photophoner. Apparently, everyone was playing them on Earth for a few years before they fell out of fashion. There's videos featuring everything from kindergarten recitals to massive outdoor concerts with impressive lights and smoke. Maybe you'll be able to do a huge concert like that one day. Oh god, we have no social cards. Okay. We have this flower that can turn something social. Let's make that social. Have a two of a kind there. And then we can do three of a kind. Hey, it was the best possible score. Hey, yes, we got a creativity perk. 5% chance to gain +1 extra skill. Ooh. Or to gain 1 extra skill. Interesting. Alright, I think we have enough creativity to get that card, though. Oh no, we need 80 for it. Okay. Let's look around for collectibles. And then maybe we'll just focus on the photophoner for the rest of it. I really don't know what my goal is right now, so I feel like getting all the cards out of Nami and advancing our friendship with them is what's going to be the most worth it. That's the only concrete goal I can see at the very least. Do we even have enough time for it? I think we have just enough time for it. Photophoner. You make a game of following people around the colony, creating a soundtrack to their lives. The best is when someone trips and you make the photophoner make a waka waka noise and fill the air with party streamers. You're not terribly popular this month. Alright, one card becomes social. Let's do that here. Okay. Ooh, this might be difficult. How about we turn this one social? Yeah. Ooh, not quite the best possible. Hey! We have enough creativity though. Alright, let's get that card from Nami, and then... Medbay, maybe? I feel like we're still getting new stuff out of Medbay, and I want to see new stuff. That's one thing I feel has been kind of lacking in the late game. Any collectibles to find? No. Okay. I saw Nami by Expeditions. Nami watches a squadron of soldiers jog by and makes a face at you. Couldn't be me, they exclaim. I'm just gonna keep on making art and hoping it makes someone smile. That's what I'm good at. Wanna make something? You know I do, Nami exclaims. I've had this great idea in my head for months. I want to build something huge, and I need your help. Nami walks you through their plan to craft their biggest thing yet. A massive dilly pillar float that you can carry on your shoulders, using mushwood sticks to puppet it around and make it look like it's dancing. It's a huge hit, especially for the younger kids. You get to work out, and you get to make something beautiful. Sweet! Alright. I'm glad we got that. Alright. Medbay. And then maybe we'll spend our last month in geoponics. Dr. Instance wakes you up one night with an urgent message in your holopalm. An unseasonal attack has left several security officers in terrible condition. Oh, I remember this room. This is where we saw that our father was very, very sick. They're all rushed in at once, just as you arrive, still rubbing sleep from your eyes. Instance takes the worst case and tells you to triage the other three. Vase has been shot in the shoulder. He's alert and helps bring in the others, then sways and collapses into a chair. Anemone sits beside him. Her whole face is a mask of red from a cut in her scalp, and she looks stunned. Another Lieutenant, Pelk, is unconscious, but nothing seems to be wrong with her from the outside. Vase tells you she's been hit by a charging Xeno. Who do you help first? I mean, I don't want to be petty, but Vase doesn't seem like there's much wrong with him. I mean, he was shot, but I don't know, he's alert. Anemone, a cut on her scalp seems really bad. Lieutenant Pelk sounds like she might have some internal stuff going on, though. I don't want to be... I'm not being petty when I say this, but I think I'm going to want to triage her. Yes, +1 defense. Pelk is clearly most in need of attention. Another soldier helps you lift her into a med bed, and you connect to it via your holopalm. The bed diagnoses her with internal bleeding. Whatever hit her crushed her liver and ruptured her spleen. The bed is on the case. It flashes through its suggestions and outcomes, and finally a big green button, Start. You press it. The bed hums quietly, doing its work. Pelk will be grateful when she wakes up. Suddenly, Instance shouts for you to come help her. She's losing the fourth patient, a commander named Yarrow, whose legs were sliced off mid-thigh by a manticore. God. They've lost too much blood, and the medbed cellular regeneration field is too slow to deal with the cascading issues their body is having. You and the doctor are going to have to deal with this the old-fashioned way. Tourniquet, saline IV, and blood transfusions. The patient is going into hemorrhagic shock. You have to work fast. Alright. Oh, +1 to mental cards, and we don't have any of those. And a bonus to straights. $99, jeez. Okay, we're gonna want to... Okay. That gets us one more. Oh boy, okay. This is gonna be difficult. Alright, we have 4, 5, 6. There's a straight. I think that's as good as we can do. 43. Alright, we need to get 43. I don't know if we can do this, honestly. Yeah. We have too much with logs. +2 to a card. Oof. Alright, we can give up or push through. I guess push through. We can shoulder the stress. Defense. At least we increased our defense. You summon all of your medical knowledge and manage to staunch the bleeding, stabilizing your patient until the medbed can complete the amputation properly. Okay, so I was kind of misunderstanding how failing the challenges work. It's not that you... I was thinking that, oh, there are no consequences for losing. You just gain a little bit of stress, and stress is nothing. But I realized that time that there is a choice between giving up and shouldering the stress, between giving up and just losing it, and pushing through and shouldering the stress. Which usually wouldn't be that big of an issue because stress is nothing in this game. But in that case, I did have to manage it a little bit to make sure that the stress I was gaining wouldn't overload me. That was maybe the only challenge in the game that I actually felt was a challenge where I needed to, manage my resources and all of that. So, for one of the last challenges in the game, that was actually maybe the first time I actually felt like there were consequences to it. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing. If I ever play this again, I'm gonna need to increase the difficulty, because the card challenges are not enough of a challenge for me. Instance looks like she wants to pat your shoulder, but stops. You're both covered in blood. You did well today, Solana. I'm glad for your support. I think it's obvious you deserve a pay raise. I'll put in the request for your promotion to head nurse. Sweet. And our stress is at 100, so we have no choice but to rest. Any stuff lying about that I could give to someone? Yeah, I think we have officially missed our boat on romancing anyone. So that's great. That's something I was focusing a lot on, and I wasn't able to do it. I think there's a reason that this game is... there's an achievement for starting a second game. I feel like this is the kind of game where you really need to really actively learn it before you can actually do well. Alright, let's go to the spa first things first. See if there's anything we want to get rid of. I'm actually thinking we want to get rid of some of these 3s. Yeah. 3s are kind of screwing us. And yeah, this one too. The Cal Strength card is still pretty good because it's a 7, even though it's red. But yeah, I'm getting rid of those 3s because I feel like the 3s are screwing us. Let's relax. The geoponics domes are a comforting beacon of light during glow. While everything else is throwing off an unsettlingly alien light, the domes are stable, dependable, human. You like spending time in them, tending to the seedlings that will be transplanted into the fields and pollen. Alright, I feel like these are all pretty good. Especially this one. Knowing the attack is coming, as it always comes in glow, does nothing to calm your nerves, but look how happy we are. There's only so long you can handle doing nothing, pretending like everything is going to be fine. As the month draws longer, you find yourself almost compulsively walking the walls, scanning the tree line for the first sign of trouble. You're there when you see them. Dark on dark shapes coming out of the forest, perfectly silent. You watch with the lookouts as more and more figures amass at the forest's edge. Minutes pass as the horde pushes into the firebreak, numbering at least, it must be in the thousands. More animals than you've ever seen in one place. The ground is choked with the teeming carpet of smaller creatures, darting in and among the legs of... No. Oh no. The forest bends as the faceless emerges from its depth, followed by 2 more. Oh no. Hey, look at these little sprites we get for the faceless. They're almost kind of cute if it wasn't for the several maws. The mood on the walls is discouraged. 1 faceless destroyed your colony. 2 faceless required an irresponsible number of explosives to take down. How are you supposed to be able to handle 3? I can't fight. You duck your head and rush toward the safety of the quarters. As you run, you notice... the colony defenses are mediocre. Okay. They're not terrible. As you run, you notice that the colony seems to be holding its own. Nothing has breached the walls yet, and it seems that the tide of monsters emerging from the trees has slowed. The colony looks evenly matched. The battle's not in the bag, but so long as the defenses hold, things look hopeful. I'm satisfied with that. For something I wasn't really actively trying to do, I'm glad that we were able to keep our defenses decent. You're descending from the walls when you are thrown to the ground by a tremendous rumble. A few meters in front of you, something tunnels towards you through the mud. You have the impression of something long and dark that cuts through the ground like a shark through water. You scramble to your feet, but it cuts off your path, forcing you towards a geoponics outbuilding. It's a storage shed, mostly empty, besides bales of hay used as float cow feed. It's dimly lit, but you think you see another door at the far end. The creature advances, throwing up rocks and chunks of dirt as it tunnels closer. I am gonna avoid it. I can't fight it. I'm sorry. You dive through the doorway, hoping that a tunneling creature couldn't follow. It stops on the threshold and pokes a long black snout out of the dirt, sniffing. You sniff too. Is that smoke? You look up at the thatched roof and realize the building you're in is on fire. Injured. Oof. The dry thatched roof quickly ignites and rains flaming debris down your head, filling the room with toxic smoke. The ashy heat is intense. You can feel it ripping the moisture from your lungs with every breath. You rush for the rear door, but the fire moves so fast. You're trapped as a roof beam collapses in front of you. You hear a cracking noise, then... just pain and a noise like a bell. The world goes dark. You wake to chaos. A confusion of light and heat and smoke. Fire. I recognized this from the very start of the game. Your head is pounding. You must have hit it and blacked out, but you aren't sure how you got here, or what on Vertumna is happening. There's something important you need to remember. Your stomach lurches as the floor crumbles beneath your feet, then collapses. Your body aches and your eyes burn from the smoke. A figure appears through the flames. It's your friend. Your friend? Wait. Why can't you remember her name? She's gesturing and shouting at you, but all you hear is a ringing in your ears. Climb out. You try to stand up, but one of your legs folds uselessly underneath you. It won't hold your weight. Your friend pulls you out of the rubble. She throws your arm over her shoulder and half drags you towards the door. Through it, you see a deep, eerie twilight, dark blue and cold against the heat of the fire around you. Low season. Glowing eyes. You shake your head to clear your vision. Is that some kind of dog? Like from Earth? Wait, hold on. You remember this from another life? From a past life? Not a dog. A monster. It's about to end your life, and probably Anemone's too. She tightens her grip on you. You prepared for this earlier, Biology 100. You've remembered this day for many years. The choking heat of the fire, this dog creature's dead yellow eyes haunting your dreams. You've prepared for it. Specifically, you've installed an armed freeze trap right where you knew the animal would be standing when it transformed into a towering horror. As it does, you trigger the detonator. The trap sucks inward, drawing all the heat from its surroundings. The monster's feet are frozen to the floor as it instantly crystallizes, becoming an ice statue. Anemone doesn't stop to wonder how this happened. She gives the statue a solid kick, and it shatters into a million fragments. You emerge from the inferno of the shed, burned and concussed, but alive. Anemone smiles. It's good to be alive. Oh, I didn't see what other skills were required for those other choices. Maybe that's something that would help me in future playthroughs. Like, I need to do one of those things in order to get past the dog. Well, I guess in my next playthrough I'm just going to have to go through for biology again. Oh boy. I'm not injured anymore. You have your wounds tended in the med bay. Other soldiers there are in much worse shape, but at least the battle is over. It was long and bitter, resulting yet again in the destruction of most of the sawmills and arable land. The defenders managed to repel the Xenos before damage could be done to the inner colony. Or maybe the monsters lost interest before finishing the job. It's as if the planet wants you to suffer, but doesn't actually intend to finish you off. Yet, anyway. But for now, you're just happy you've survived to live another day, and that day is your birthday. By the time you've recovered, the suns have returned. It's your 20th birthday. You're a fully fledged adult now, though in many ways you already were, and have been for a long time. You and your friends step out to greet the new day, and start the rest of your life on Vertumna. The end. You've reached your 20th birthday. Botanist? Ooh. Are we gonna see what we're gonna do as an adult now? There's no end of species to discover in Vertumna. In your lifetime, you discover over 13,000 different species of flora and fauna, and some that transcend the distinction too. You name them after your friends. One of the benefits of the naming convention the Vertumna group chose for your children is that it's pretty easy to turn them into formal scientific-sounding names. Future generations will remember the first Vertumnan colonists, your names immortalized as flowers, birds, and yes, the occasional worm or two. You work under Cal, who is a better boss than he wants to admit. He doesn't mind when you disappear for a month to go tromping about in search of some new variation of fungus. But what about... Your friend Cal grew up, but he never lost his boyish charm. He never wanted to be chief cultivator, but it was thrust on him. The responsibility of feeding the colony is enormous. Cal isn't good with confrontation or pushing people as hard as your mom famously did. On years when drought or pests threaten the food supply, you often see him looking haggard. He deals with a lot of stress and it ages him quickly. but his kind nature means he never takes it out on other people or wants them to worry about him. He's a lot like your dad that way. He was my favorite. He is the one I really, really wanted to be friends with and romance the most, and I'll definitely focus on him later, because look at him. In this sprite, he's 18, right? Let's face it. He's hot. He's hot as all hell. And I'm very sad we didn't get to date him, but I'm glad we were able to be friends and work with him, too. He has a string of intense romantic relationships and eventually settles down with one of the gardeners who grew up on the heliopause before transferring to geoponics. She is as dependable and friendly as he is, though as you get to know her in your weekly family dinners, you're often reminded of Anemone by the way she teases him. Together, they have a tidy little sum of children, and that's the only tidy thing about them. The children grow up digging in the dirt, eating bugs, nearly getting mauled by farm equipment, and having a great time being kids. Cal dotes on every one of them. Cal himself never gives up on trying to convince people to live in harmony with Vertumna. Though his family is his source of strength, he struggles with the violence that's necessary for the colony to survive there. In his 50s, he's killed while defending geoponics during an attack. You grieve him deeply for many years. Your parents never got to see their colony through, but you live in their stead. They'll always be with you, in the ground you walk on, in the trees that give you shade, and in the cycle of life that sustains you. And in my later years, the days turn to months, eventually becoming years, then decades. Before you know it, you're old. I guess we only got to see Cal there because he was our best friend, our closest friend. Life is tough, but rewarding. Vertumna continues to challenge you and your loved ones. The attacks continue every year, getting harder and harder to withstand. And not just that, but droughts, earthquakes, diseases, storms, pestilence, and more. Some years you worry that the colony, and humanity, will be wiped off the map for good. But humans are good at surviving. The adversity strengthens your resolve. You mourn your dead, celebrate your births, and keep adapting to whatever the planet throws at you. This is your home, for better or worse. You do what you can to make it a good one. Eventually, death comes to you, as it does for everyone. And in the moment of your death, as your brain cells fizzle out one by one and shut down forever, a vision swims in your mind's eye. Is that a person? That's me! They seem so familiar. You feel like you know them so well. Oh, it's you. Only ancient. Her arms are covered with so many data bands, so many lifetimes of knowledge. The ancient, you, speaks without moving her mouth. Not in words, but in something like pictures. Still, you understand. She smiles. We had a good life, don't you think? But there are so many possibilities, and this was only one of them. I could have done better. There was a girl. We were young together. Tammy with the cotton candy hair. Such a shame to see a life snuffed out so young. She gives you a look as if to say you were somehow responsible for this. Wait, were you? Could you have saved her? We have a chance to take another path, to change the way our life turned out. She reaches out a hand. Come with me. Oh. Oh. Hold on. Oh, I could scroll through this, but it was scrolling itself. Okay, so that was I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. Oh, A Shell in the Pit. They did the audio for some great games. Wander Song and, what was it? Night in the Woods. I think they did Night in the Woods, too. Not surprised the music in this game is great. Yeah, I thought this was a great game. And I feel like it'll get better with future playthroughs. I had some issues with the difficulty. Oh, I see that every every song was written by a different person. That's cool. But I feel like I've talked at length about my problems with the challenge difficulty. I also felt kind of aimless towards the end. Like, it wasn't really clear what we needed to work for at the end. The traits that I wanted to get high up, I got high up pretty early on, and then, well, what am I supposed to do now? Am I supposed to pivot to something else entirely, which is what I felt like I did with the med bay? That's what I started doing towards the end. Am I supposed to get everything else up to 100? Because I feel like, when am I supposed to go back to school for that? There's no new, like, little scenes for that. So, and especially, like, with the number of months that there are, I feel like, yeah, they could have done a better job of filling all that out. But I feel like that's also something that you have to be responsible for. Like, you have to be responsible for seeking out those new scenes yourself. And towards the end, I definitely was getting a little complacent just doing the same 3 things over and over again. So I do take some responsibility for that. What else? The romances, it wasn't really clear what I needed to do. Friendship is easy. It tells you exactly how you get the points, but interacting with the characters does not guarantee that you'll get a flirtatious option, and I don't really know. Is it just because I kind of fumbled the bag with Tang when she professed that she was my secret admirer? Is that the moment when you're supposed to, like, make things official? I don't know. I don't really know how that all works, and that's something disappointing to me because I always really enjoy romance in games and choosing my favorite romance options. Like, I definitely have mine. I love Cal the most. I know I kind of soured on Tang eventually, but I do really like her, but Cal is my favorite. And in terms of other characters, I really like Nami too, even though I'm not interested in romancing them. Let's take a look at the endings gallery. Let's scroll through this and then take a look at what this gallery looks like. Ooh, there are a lot. Illustrations. We only got a few. We got one ending out of so many. I think there are 29. Beautiful backgrounds. I'm sure we can get more of these through, like, exploring the planet. Ooh, all the cards we can get. We didn't even find all of the collectibles, probably because we never left the colony. Wow, there are so many cards you could get. And achievements. We never really got a lot of achievements. So yeah, there's still a lot to do in this game. Yeah, okay. Main menu. Yeah, I don't think necessarily I'll be doing another playthrough on the channel, but I will definitely be doing another playthrough in my spare time, because I feel like there's a lot of this game that I haven't explored. Animals and whatnot, all the romances, different friends I want to focus on. Saving Tammy. I get the feeling that Tammy would have ended up being my favorite character if I had kept her alive. I love that they specifically called back to that. Like, that probably felt like the biggest failure in a first playthrough. Like, I felt like that was my fault somehow, but what was I supposed to do about it? And yes, it has confirmed that I could have saved her. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I think I've decided what I'm gonna do for my next game in this slot. Technically this is an RPG, so I think I'm gonna replace it with another RPG. Kind of a longer one, and I don't really like doing long playthroughs on this channel, but I have high hopes for it. But until then, thank you so much for watching, those who did watch. I have been Mars, and I will be back with another game. Bye!